Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you keep running into the same obstacles over and over? You set goals, start strong, but somehow, you end up right where you began. I know that feeling all too well, and for the longest time I couldn't figure out why. But once I did, everything changed. A while back, I sat down and really thought about the things holding me back. I was tired of making the same mistakes and getting stuck in the same cycle. This year, I decided something had to change. And the first thing I had to let go of? My old habits. One of my biggest struggles has always been procrastination. I would tell myself I was going to be productive, but then I'd get lost in an endless loop of scrolling through social media. I knew I had to stop. After learning things the hard way, I finally started taking action. It felt great, for a while. But then I ran into another problem. Starting is easy. Sticking with it, that's where things get tough. I've always admired people who seem unstoppable, those who can commit to something and never quit. Recently, I watched an interview with Elon Musk. He talked about how he kept pushing forward, even when people doubted him, even when things seemed impossible. He said something that stuck with me. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That hit me. I realized my problem wasn't just procrastination, it was inconsistency. I was great at starting things, but I never stuck with them long enough to see real progress. And that made me question everything. If I had big dreams, why wasn't I making any real progress? That's when I stumbled across a concept in psychology called the expectancy value theory. It explains why we struggle with motivation. There are two main factors that determine whether we take action: how valuable the reward is to us, how much we believe we can actually achieve it. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone tells you they'll pay you $10 to run a mile. You might not be interested, but if they offer you $1,000, now it's a different story. The bigger the reward, the higher the motivation. But here's the part that most people overlook. Even if the reward is high, if you don't believe you can actually run that mile, you won't even try, because in your mind, it's already a lost cause. And that's exactly what was happening to me. I wanted success, but deep down, I didn't believe I could reach it. Why? Because I had failed so many times before. But then I asked myself, was I actually failing? Or was I just quitting too soon? That's when I remembered a story about James Dyson, the inventor of the Dyson vacuum. Before he created the world's best-selling vacuum cleaner, he built 5,126 failed prototypes. Imagine working on something, failing over 5,000 times, and still not giving up. Most people would have quit after 10, maybe 50 tries. But Dyson kept going because he understood something crucial. Every failure was a step closer to success. That changed the way I looked at my own failures. Instead of seeing them as proof that I wasn't good enough, I started seeing them as necessary steps toward improvement. I had spent years setting goals, failing, and then quitting. But when I looked at successful people, I saw a different pattern. They weren't succeeding because they were perfect. They were succeeding because they learned from every mistake and kept going. That's when I made a promise to myself: no more quitting. If something doesn't work, I'll adjust and try again. I stopped focusing on perfection and started focusing on progress. So here's what I want you to take away from this. If you feel stuck, if you're constantly struggling to stay motivated, ask yourself this: are you really failing? Or are you just quitting before things have a chance to work? Mistakes are not the enemy. The real enemy is giving up before you see results. So the next time you feel like quitting, remember this: failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Learn from it, adjust, and keep moving forward.